Well, welcome back everyone. So this is part 2. We will be dealing with the two-point perspective aspect of this two-part series. So in my first video, I showed you how to draw this table in one-point perspective from my station point. And if you remember, your station point is your drawing position. That station point should not change. So don't start the drawing while sitting and then decide to do the rest of the drawing standing. Otherwise, all your angles and measurements will be off. So station point has to stay static. All right. The other thing I wanted to point out that I did not point out in part 1 video, and granted that video just focused on drawing the table, so I actually did not have the boxes on the table because I felt that it would be a distraction for you guys. So before you even start this drawing series, you want to set up your still life, have the table in one-point perspective coming at you, and then have your boxes. It talks about having the last box, the one on top, to be just above your eye level, and that's your horizon line as well. And what you're going to do is you're going to pre-measure from your drawing position how much of this is actually here contained in this space, and then will that fit on your paper, so that when you do take the ratio that you determined there and apply it here and you scale it here, that everything actually fits on the page. Okay, so I just want to give you that disclaimer. Alright, so this video will talk about how to get these boxes drawn on this surface and look like they're in two-point perspective, how they are representing themselves here. And again, two-point perspective has two angles that go away to the vanishing point. I don't know if you can see my shoelace that I've tacked up on the wall. That indicates my eye level or my horizon line. And again, the horizon line is an imaginary line, but you can actually physically put one up there. But all these angles will actually go towards that level. And then you want to set up your boxes in such a way that you have their corners coming at you. Okay? Alright, so let's get started. So let's talk about the picture plane real quick again. It's this idea of having an imaginary window in front of you at arm's length. And so it's there in front of you, and whatever you see is perceived to go away from you in perspective. So you notice the angles are going away. So when I do describe, when I cite my angles, I can't tip my pencil forward because it hits the picture plane. So I need to tip my pencils to the left or right as I'm doing it. So think of it as windshield wiper blades. All right? Okay. So in the first video, I just want to show you that, remember, we established the table in one-point perspective. I'm not necessarily interested in seeing the legs. You do see that I do reference the legs like I did in the video. But here I'm more interested in seeing the tabletop in one-point perspective, and then the second part will show the boxes in two-point perspective sitting on top of that space. Alright, so to continue this particular drawing, I need to figure out where my boxes would be pinpointed on this surface based on right there, and then measuring and citing and establishing the boxes here. So what I want to do is I want to figure out, I start with the first box, the box on the bottom, and that's the pizza box. So what I can do is that as I'm looking at it, it just so happens that I had set this up in such a manner that this is a folding table, and this is where the table folds at the halfway point. And I've set up the pizza box where its two corners are sitting right here at the folding point, the halfway mark. So I want to find the halfway mark to reference where my box is at. So what I can do is I return to, using the pencil I used to set this up, the measurement where I had originally measured the length of the table. So this right here, and we remember it was a certain length, and so at arm's length it is that long. And then when I sized it up here, I made it the actual length of the pencil. So I did that scaling up. So, but I can take this and I can take a second pencil and I can just bring it down from the top edge of the back edge of the table and bring it down to the center. And so from this distance, that's where the halfway point is in the middle of the table. Okay? So then I can take this pencil and come to my drawing. Now this is a different scale where the length of the table is an entire length of my pencil, but based on what I just figured out here, I can use visual sighting to approximate that. So I'm going to say it's about-ish, and then I can put a line, and that's going to indicate the center of the table. So when I bring the camera up to that and I look at it, now you're probably thinking like, that's BS. There's no way that's the center of the table. I would think the center of the table would be, halfway. Well, it's not, because visually, when we look at this table in perspective, how it is, it's about 8 feet away from us. Things that are farther away actually get smaller and shorter. So let's see if I can actually show this. I'm going to zoom the camera in so we'll see the table close up. Let it focus. Okay, so where this pencil is pointing is at the center of the table where it folds. And here's the back edge. So look at pencil tip to pencil tip. That's pretty short. But then if I bring this pencil to the halfway point and let me scoot the camera back just a hint. That's my lovely camera skills. I'm an artist, not a cameraman. Okay, so now I want to show the distance between my front edge and the middle, and you can see that it is a lot longer, bigger. So that's kind of interesting. So just by moving the camera and proving to you that I'm not just making up stuff, you can see actually that as things go farther away, they get smaller as well as shorter. Okay, so I've established the halfway point in the table. Now I want to figure out where's this corner of this pizza box on this table. How would I figure that out? I'm glad you asked. So I'm going to show you that. So using my pencil, again, I will measure and get that measurement again, which gives me the length of the table. And then I'm going to measure from my thumb up. Now, just to remember, when I'm measuring this, I'm putting my thumb here, the pencil extends up, and then the tip touches the back of the table. So in this measurement, I'm going to start with the front of the table, arm's length, and then I'm going to bring this pencil up on the horizon as a horizontal line, and I bring it up to the bottom of the pizza box, and you notice it's in the halfway mark of my pencil, that distance. It's at the halfway mark. So back here at my table, remember I took this length and scaled up the drawing to be a full pencil length. Remember, I have complete control of whatever scale I want to use. And so since this was at the halfway mark, now when I come to here, I find the halfway point, which is half of my pencil, and it's about there. And I know it's centralized, so let me show you that. So that mark right there indicates where the pizza box corner will be, the front corner coming towards us. Alright, so now knowing and seeing that, now I can actually now place the box. So how I'm going to do that is I bring my pencil up vertically, and then I tip my pencil to the right. And it's basically what I'm doing from this distance is I'm putting my pencil here, and then I'm tipping it to the right on this angle. And again, I'm doing that all at arm's length. And by doing this at arm's length, I'm able to keep my measurements and angles consistent. So, vertical pencil on corner, tip to the right, on the angle, arm's length. I put the butt of the pencil at my mark here on the table. Over here, I make a little dot, and then I put that line in. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. So vertical on the corner, tip the pencil to the left. On the angle of the pizza box, go in that way. Arm's length. Butt of the pencil at the mark. Make the line. And there it is. So let me bring the camera there. So I've created basically an upside down triangle. And those indicate the two angles going away from the corner to two different vanishing points, thus 2-point perspective. And now what I can do is, what's interesting is, even though I already knew it's going to work out, but no matter where that corner was going to be, I knew my angles would go to the center of the table's line, because that's how it is on the table over there. But here, by doing or taking these steps, I actually prove to myself visually that is actually the case. So we just proved it. All right. Bring the camera back. All right, then the next point is I would want to find the angles of the box going this way and that way. Now granted, I have this box in the way. That's okay, because we're doing or utilizing the sketch method. In the sketch method, you can draw through your objects. I just want to quickly use visual sighting to rough in the corner of the box, the height of the box, and I can kind of reference. I can see that the height of the box is a little bit thicker than this. So I'll do that on purpose, just make this a little bit thicker. And then I know when I come to this corner, that's going to be a vertical. It'll be straight up and down. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. What you're going to find is, and you can proof it, the top and the bottom angle they'll be the same width here, but as they go back, they'll start to subtly converge and get narrower. So down here it should be slightly narrower. Let me go back to that idea of verticals. Whatever's vertical in this space, because what we can see, everything that's standing up on end and everything's sitting on a flat surface, so that means anything that's going vertically should be straight up and down. And I can see that with my pencil, whether it's the legs, the boxes, all the corners that are standing up on end on all the boxes. So what that means is when I come to my drawing, I need to make sure that all this stuff is straight up and down vertical. And if you're unsure on your paper, hey, I'm not sure what the vertical actually should be, just reference the side or the edge of your paper. And that's another perfect kind of a tip that you can use to make sure, oh yeah, yep, those are vertical. And all you have to do is just proof it against the edge of your paper. Again, if everything's sitting on a flat surface, you can apply that technique and that notion to it. All right, so I've used visual sighting to basically rough in the basics of the front of the pizza box coming at us. Now I want to draw the back of the pizza box. Okay, so to do that, I will be basically bringing my pencil to this corner first on this side. So from back here, I'm going to lay my pencil on this vertical corner, and I'm going to tip my pencil along this angle, this edge. And then, so that's sighting it, and then I'm going to translate it here. So vertical, tip the pencil to the right on the angle, put the butt of the pencil on the corner, and make the little dot. And then carefully just freehand in that angle. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing here. Vertical on the corner, tip the pencil, got the angle, pencil butt on the corner, make the mark, connect the 2 points, and then I have the pizza box is now indicated. Woo! Triumph! Victory! Alright, and then essentially you're going to rinse and repeat with the other 2 boxes. And I'll go ahead and I'll draw them so you can see how that happens. So, the next thing I have to figure out is my pizza box is done. I'm not worried about details or anything because my drawing's not done, so don't even worry about that now. I need to figure out visually how tall the middle box is. So I want to establish that. So I go back to the measurement of the length of the tabletop. That's kind of what I've been using to proof everything. So there's the length of my tabletop. And then I take that and I apply it to the box. So from back here, what I'm doing is I put my thumb here, the pencil length goes up, and I see where it stops, and then I move the pencil to here, and then I figure out how many of these gives me the length or the height of the box. So 1, and it's roughly 2 of these that makes that height. So now that I got that, I can make a little note here on the side, and now I just need to figure out where's this corner in conjunction with that corner. So I could go through the process of measuring that, or I could go through the process of using visual sighting. I'm just going to kind of put it in. So I noticed that this corner is offset to the corner of the middle box. And I'll just kind of eye that, and I'll make this dot as that corner. So just with visual sighting, artistic license, I've established where the corner of that box is at. And then by doing that, I can now start putting in that box. Alright, so remember, this measurement for the length of the table, this scale is different, and basically this equals 1 pencil length here. So I'm going to take that, I put the butt of my pencil at that dot where the corner is, make the line, and then basically right here, up to here, that will be the height of that box. Okay? And I can see that my last box will just barely fit. Okay? So that's a good thing. Alright. So I have the heights now, and I have the corner, so now I just need to find the angles down here. So let's find those. So that's easy. I put my pencil on the corner of the box, and then I tip my pencil to the right on the angle of the bottom of the box on top of the pizza, and then I apply that butt of the pencil at the mark here, and I make that. There's that angle. So again, what I've done is I put my pencil here, and then I tipped it this way to get this angle at arm's length. And then while keeping my arm's length I applied that angle. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side of the box. Tip the angle. Pencil butt at that point, make the mark, put in that angle. So let me make these just a little bit darker so you can see them. Now remember, this is a sketch. I can just go ahead and draw through other lines. Alright, so there's establishing the second box on top of the pizza box. So there's that corner. And what's interesting is I know that this angle will be vertical. I can check that. So the best I can, make that straight line up. I can make it prettier later. So there's that. So once I've established these three angles, then it starts to go together pretty easily. Okay. Now that I've established this angle, and this angle, now I need to come up here to this corner and establish what these two guys will look like. So you notice I haven't measured their lengths on the two sides yet. I have this length, but I'll come back to these lengths. Alright, so arm's distance, I come to the top of the box, and then the top of the middle box, the long one, and I move my pencil to the edge of on the right side, and then I bring that angle here, butt of the pencil at the corner, make the mark, draw that line in that direction. And do the same thing on the left side. Pencil's in the vertical, tip the pencil on the angle. There it is. Butt of the pencil at the corner, make the mark, connect the two marks, and there I've got it. Let me check it one more time. Oops, I made a mistake. So my arm moved. So it's always good to check your work. Let me do that one more time. And then apply it. There we go. There's the angle. I'm going to check the other one just in case. It wasn't too bad. In my excitement, I must have moved my arm. So it's always good to go back and check your work. That's better. Okay. Now you're probably looking at it and go, my God, those are almost straight across. And the reason for that is because when this box comes up, it comes closer to the level of my eyes. And everything on the horizon line will be straight. Everything below the horizon line, angles will be going up. And then everything above my horizon line, the angles will start to come down. So that's kind of something to remember. So as things approach the horizon line, these angles will start to be a little bit more straight across than angled up or down. Okay, so now that I have the angles of my box, what I want to do is I want to measure this distance and I want to measure this distance so I can get the size of the box correct in my drawing. So what I can do is I can actually look at my drawing here and I can start taking measurements. So I can look at, let's say, let me bring the camera over here so you can see that. So I'm looking at this distance from here to here, and I'm looking at that in my still life. So I'm just kind of doing a compare contrast. So I'm looking for distances that are similar, so I can do that in the still life. But I still want to do it at arm's length, and then I apply it, and it just turns out this is kind of funny. From here to here is the same length, as from here to here. How cool is that? That makes it easy. So by knowing that now, and I have it drawn here, I can take that distance and then apply it. Make a mark. Make a mark. So that gives me the width of this box on the right side. So I took this measurement based on what I saw in the still life, and then I knew that, so I just made the mark up here, made the mark, strike the line. So that gives me this side, or this face of the box going that way. I'm going to do the same thing, or approach it in the same way. So this is, in a sense, that idea of like visual sighting. I'm going to find something that's like this face. So I need to find something here that has this length. So again, I want to do that from back here. So I'm going to take the length, I'm going to check this measurement. And that I know is probably going to be too long, and it is. So then I'm going to take, oh, what would be another good one? Let's see. Oh, awesome. Okay, so what I discovered was from the middle point of the table to the back edge, that distance is pretty much this distance from back here. So just that comparison, let me check that one more time just for S and G's, and then apply that. Again, arm's length, yep. So knowing that, so I come to my drawing and I find the halfway point, and then I move my thumb so that my tip of my pencil is on, I'll bring you guys so you can see this, sorry about that. So what I'm doing is I'm going to put my pencil tip on the back edge of the table and move my thumb down till it reaches the halfway point right there. And then I bring that over here, put my thumb on that edge, make the line, make it again, and carefully strike that in. So there's my box. Alright, now we're ready for the shoebox on top. So I'm hoping that as you see this, the kind of this rinse and repeat, you start to get an idea of using measurements, like measurements, to then apply and then slowly work this together. Alright, so now I'm looking at my space, and it turns out that when I put my pencil here, this corner is in line with this corner, so that makes that easy. So I just take the corner here, bring my pencil up, and I'm going to make a dot here so you can see where the corner is. So right there, in line with this corner. So that's what I discovered when I looked in my still life. Alright, so now that I know where the corner's at, now I need to do the angle going that way, and I need to do the angle going that way. So I'm going to sight the angles with my pencil. So I bring up my pencil and I put my pencil here in the corner, and then I tip my pencil this way to get that angle and then apply it to my drawing surface. So again, arm's length, vertical, tip the pencil to the right on that angle, come here, and make the line. Do the same thing on the other side. Remember, I'm putting the butt of my pencil in the corner and then strike it. Alright, so what's interesting here is that as I'm looking at this and I look at the angles, I'm like, something seems wrong. But what I noticed is that there's a slight hump in the pizza box. And then that kind of slightly throws my middle box this way. And so let me bring the camera up from my drawing position, my station point. And let me zoom in. You notice that the shoebox is slightly tilting, canted to the left. So at first when I'm looking at my drawing, I was like, oh, that doesn't make sense. Those angles don't make sense. Well, they do. It's because now that I actually take a moment to actually observe with a little bit more hyper concentration, I noticed, yes, look at that, my box is tilted. It's not perfectly straight up and down. So I'll just slightly accommodate those offsetting lines to mimic what I'm actually got going on in my still life. Again, you want to draw what you see and not what you think you see. So you notice that I've been making mistakes, but I'm catching them because I'm actually really promoting and concentrating on. So this corner here, I'm going to slightly tilt it to the left to make that work. Okay, so I've established this corner, I have this angle, I have that angle, and I know this isn't going to be, it won't be truly vertical like these other things. It'll be slightly canted to the left. So I've fixed that. So now I need to figure out this dimension, and this height. And then once I've done that, then that box is done. So what is the height of this box? So I take that measurement at arm's length, and then I keep this in mind, and then I find things that are similar. And then I just found it. So what I discovered was the height of the box is from the bottom edge of the table to this corner. So I just come into my drawing, I set my thumb down till I have that measurement, and then I bring it up. And I'll get you guys to see that. I put my thumb at the bottom, and then I strike the mark at the top. So here is the top of the box. There's the height of my box. So I got that. So now I need to figure out what's this length. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to take the measurement off that box, arm's length, and so the orange face of my shoebox is that long from this distance, and then I'm just going to look for something that mimics that. And let's see. That's too long. Alright, there we go. So what I discovered was this distance right here is the same as up here from back there. That's awesome. That's cool. So I can use that as a reference. And then I just make that mark. And then I know this is canted, so I kind of bring that angle over. Put it in. And now I need to figure out the length here. This length. So I just take my pencil, arm's length. I put my thumb at one end and I move the tip of the pencil to the other end. I got that length. And let's see, what would be similar to that? Okay, cool. So the length of the box here is the same. So let's get the camera here. Again, I am no cameraman. Okay, so the length of this box is actually the same as from here to here in the still life. So I just take that length, apply it up there, make my line. So now I have these 3 lines. All I got to do is I have to figure out what's this angle and what's this angle, and then I'm done. So let me do that. Put the camera back here. Oh, the camera's in my way. Okay. So I'm finding the top angle of the box on the orange face. So I find the vertical, and then I tip my pencil to the right on the angle at the top of it. So the butt of the pencil goes on the corner, tips out here. Do the same thing on the left-hand side. Find the vertical, tip my pencil to the left, make my mark. So pencil is on the vertical that we're doing the shoebox. And I bring the angle to the right, top of the box, arm's length, right there. Butt of the pencil goes on the corner, and I make the mark and I strike it. And then I do the same thing on the left side. Put the pencil in the corner, tilt the pencil on the angle, bring it over here, make the mark, strike the line. Okay? So now I just come in and start finishing up things. So what I can do is I can come in and get rid of everything that's in the background, because now this box is covering it up, so make those disappear. Again, this is just a sketch. This isn't necessarily going to go in your refrigerator, but you can clean up your lines just to make it a little bit more presentable, less confusing, because you know when you have a lot of lines in there, it's just kind of like, wait a minute, what's that describing? Get rid of these lines out here. Okay, so there it is, and it's fine and glory. There that is, and it's fine and glory. Okay, so that, my friends, is essentially a 2-point perspective of 3 boxes on top of a table in 1-point perspective. Well, I hope this video was helpful. I hope there was parts of it that were sort of helping you or giving you clarity about how to maybe measure or kind of fudge an area, how to deal with angles, size relationships, where to find these measurements and then comparing them to other parts of the still life and then applying them, the translation of this scale to this scale, and that translation back and forth, and you know, using I had that ratio over here and I just made the ratio bigger here so that this scale is different. So those kinds of ideas, you know, putting this together. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.